Hey guys, I have a side-by-side cleaning related video for you today. So usually when I clean my side-by-side, I use just a regular auto wash soap and a power washer, and then I'll let it dry. But then it's still got some water spots on the painted plastic, and then on the bottom plastic that's supposed to be black is usually kind of faded and gray, just dry. What I do then is take SC1, and this makes the plastic a lot less dull and faded looking. It brings the kind of black color back, and then on the plastic it makes it super shiny and takes away the water spots. I mean, this stuff, it makes it look brand new. It's actually kind of dangerous stuff, because if you're buying a used side-by-side and somebody's used this, I mean, it hides a ton of scratches and imperfections, so it'll make a side-by-side look much better than it actually is, so be aware of that. This stuff costs about $15 a can, and one can is used in each cleaning. So I mean, it takes a lot of this stuff, and I go through a ton of it because I usually try to wash my YXZ before every video and keep it kind of clean. So I go through about a can a week, and so $15 is pretty expensive, but it does such a good job that I don't mind spending that. I usually buy like a case of 5 for $52 on Amazon. But recently I was on the forums and some guy asked, like, what can I use to take the water spots out of my side-by-side paint and just make it look better? And I said SC1. I said I love it, it works really good. And a lot of people said don't waste money on that expensive stuff, just use Lemon Pledge, which is not made for cleaning a side-by-side, but they said it does all the same things and it works really well. And this stuff only costs $5, so I'm gonna test them. And I mean, if I could get away with using this stuff compared to buying a $15 can of SC1 every week, I might end up switching. So I'm gonna test these two against each other. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna wash my YXZ, and then I'm gonna let it dry. I'm gonna put just a line of tape down the center of it, and then I'll use SC1 on one side and Pledge on the other. And first I'll compare how well it cleans, like if it gets the water spots out, and how well it gets the fading, gets the bottom plastic back to black. Just see how cleaning goes. So I'm going to test that, and then I'm going to take it out on the trails, which are insanely muddy right now. And then I'm going to let the mud kind of dry a while, and then I'm going to clean each side and see if one side cleans off easier than the other. Because I've noticed with the SC1, once I put this stuff on, it's got kind of a nice coating on it, like a film, and it cleans off so much easier. So I'm hoping that Pledge does the same thing. I mean, if I can switch over to that, that'd be pretty awesome. So let's take a look at it. To wash my side-by-side, I use this Ryobi 3300 PSI gas power washer. I don't actually use the soap tank. It works, it just, I prefer to use this foam cannon. This thing's awesome because they do make a foam soap for it, but it's expensive. But I've noticed that you can use pretty much any auto car wash, put it in here, and it makes it into foam. Just the way it shoots it out at a high pressure turns basically any soap into foam. This one says foam sprayer ready anyway, but you can use pretty much any car wash in this and it'll be just like a foam cannon. So then I usually dry it off with a microfiber or a chamois cloth, and then I let it sit for a little while, and then I'll use SC1, and in this instance I'm going to use Pledge on half of it since we're testing. That usually gets it looking pretty good. But then if I'm going to like a meetup, or if my side-by-side is going to be sitting for a long time, I put on the Extreme Tire Shine by Armor All. That works really good, but it doesn't really stay looking good on a trail for very long, and it kind of makes dirt stick to the tires. So the tire shine is just basically if you want it to look good for some event or something. But all right, I'm gonna spray the YXZ off. It's really filthy right now. I'm gonna get it pretty clean and let it dry, and then we'll tape it off and try the SC1 and Pledge. Okay, I got my side-by-side cleaned up pretty good. I didn't deep clean it because I am just gonna go get it muddy, and I left some dirt on it, so maybe it'll be easier to compare the two products. So you can see on my plastic, you can see the water spots and some of the dirt I left on it. It's shiny, but it's not all that clear. Even on the black, still got a little water, but it's just pretty dirty still. You can see the faded areas on the bottom. I do have a scratch on each side that we're going to compare each product, see how well that covers the scratches. I do have the YXZ split in half. I put painter's tape right down the center. That way we can compare how each product performs. Okay, we're gonna do the SC1 now. So I just spray it on and then kind of just wipe it in with a rag. You can see it's kind of greasy, but it does a really good job cleaning. All right, I'll try some on this black here. Yeah, you can see already it's a lot shinier. My sticker kind of looks like garbage, but it'll be all right. Once it dries, you can kind of see the difference, how much shinier it is and how much clearer. Let's go over to the scratch here. So you can see there's a pretty good scratch on my door. It was a limb that came up and hit it. So I'm just gonna spray some of that on, wipe it. So you can still see the scratch, but I mean, it's a lot harder to see. Let's look at the faded plastic on the bottom. You don't have to rub it in, but I usually do. Okay, now I'm gonna do the bottom rockers where it's kind of dull and faded, and it's got some mud still left on it. Now I'm gonna do the wheel. Okay, now I'm gonna do the half of the Tesseract box. Okay, the headlights have pretty bad water spots and dirt. It always collects in this area. So I'll spray it down. That looks a lot better. All right, now I'm gonna move down to the A-arms here. One of the really hard spots to clean is inside all this little detail in the shocks here, and then kind of down in between the springs and in the threads. But when you spray the SC1 right in there, it really cleans it up. And you don't really have to wipe it down, but I like to. This is the back firewall on the inner fender. This trailing arm guard is usually really dull and faded, and it catches a lot of sand. So do this. Now I'm gonna finish the rest of this half with SC1 off camera. kind of boring process. All right, I got the entire left side done with SC1. So you can see the plastic is nice and shiny. It's dried for a little while. The cage doesn't have any more water spots. It made these black mirrors look a lot better. The inner fender looks real clean, like new. The rockers look really clean, not faded anymore. The scratch, you can barely see it. The interior is all right. I didn't spend a ton of time on it, but you can see the door looks pretty good. And then it looks all right. Now we're gonna start on the other side with the pledge. You can see it's got a lot of dirt and water spots still. Huh. Already not a big fan of that spray. Okay.
It smells really good.
Yeah, it smells really good. It takes a little more rubbing in to dry. Looks pretty good on the painted plastic though. I'm hoping these wipe marks will go away. I'll move on to the black while those are drying. Alright, I'm noticing it's a little streaky. It might go away as it dries. I've wiped it down a couple times, but it's still really cloudy. You can see, especially on the hood, the SC1 looks a lot clearer, but it's had more time to dry, so I'll let it dry for a little while, see what it does. Alright, while that front fender's drying, I'm going to move on and try to do this scratch. This one's a little deeper, so I wouldn't be surprised if it didn't do a little worse, but I'll see how it looks. It actually did a pretty good job hiding it. I mean, you can still see it, but it's a lot less noticeable now. I'm gonna do the front inner fender liner now. The SC1 looks really good, so I'm hoping this comes out similarly. Now we're doing the other side, bottom rocker area, where it's kind of grayed and faded with the pledge. All right, now we'll do the wheel. The pledge cleans all right on the wheels, but I feel like SC1 would have done a better job. Like on the center cap area, you can still see a lot of dirt in there, and SC1 just does a little bit better job hiding the dirt, but it doesn't look too bad. All right, now I'm gonna do the other side headlight with the pledge. I'm gonna do the A-arms here. All right, I'll do the other side of the Tesseract box with pledge. Looks pretty similar. You can't really notice the difference between SC1 and pledge on this plastic on the box. Now I'll do the rear inner fender well with pledge. Now I'll do the right side rear trailing arm guard with Pledge. Now I'm gonna finish cleaning the right side with Pledge off camera. All right, I let the YXZ sit for an hour to let the SC1 and the Pledge dry. So I can already tell, especially in the black plastics, the SC1 is so clear and there's a lot of streaking in the black on the Pledge. I think with a lot of, you know, if I wiped it down another time or two, I think I could get them to look really similar. But at the same time, I did the exact same application to each of them, and the SC1 looks better and it was so much faster. I also noticed the SC1, the paint looks awesome and it's just really streaky on the Pledge side. I think it could be polished out, but still. And even the frame, you can tell, is pretty streaky compared to the SC1 side. But I think that could be taken out. But the inner fender wells, they're already starting to come back faded, and it definitely didn't hide as much of the scratches and dirt as the SC1 side. It looks pretty dirty still. So the SC1 side, I mean, it looks like brand new. You can't see any of the scratches at all, and there's a lot of them there. And even I sprayed in the springs here, and there's a lot of dirt on the inside, and it's hid most of that dirt. And even like the little pockets in the A-arms, it hides that really well. It looks pretty clean. It's kind of greasy. It still looks wet, but I mean, it's been drying for an hour or more. But I mean, the Pledge side, it looks okay. It definitely didn't hide as much of that dirt as the SC1 side did. Even I sprayed it on these boots here, and it didn't hide any of that dirt at all compared to this side. I mean, they're still a little dirty looking, but yeah, that didn't do real well. The rockers on this side don't look terrible, but you can see where the fading's kind of starting to come back. I'll check the other side. Yeah, the SC1 side still looks really clean. All right, I'll look at the scratch. So you can, if you're in the right light, you can still see the scratch on this side, but it's barely visible. We'll go over to the other scratch. Yeah, it's still pretty hidden, so that's good. You can see it just a little bit. Got a little rash there too, but that didn't do too bad. You can still see some of the streaking on the fenders though. Let's look at the rear inner fender well. That the dirt's coming back and the fading is. Even on the guard here, it's all that dirt and fading's coming back. It just doesn't look as clean. I'll look at the SC1 side now. It looks quite a bit cleaner. There is some dirt down here. I don't know, I might have missed that, but for the most part it looks really good. On the Tesseract box, you can't really tell the difference between the two. It looks the same on that. So on the roof, you can see the SC1 side is really clear, and there's some streaking on the hood of the Pledge side. Let me do one more test. I removed my hood, and on the YXZs, there's a vent right here that lets a ton of dirt underneath the hood, and I have a lot of wire loom and just a lot of stuff that gets muddy, and without taking the hood off, it's really hard to clean. I'm gonna try SC1 and Pledge and see if they compare how well It hides the dirt in here. I mean, I know you need to clean it, but this is just an extreme case. All right, so I'm gonna start spraying the SC1. I'm not gonna wipe any of this down because with the SC1, you don't really have to wipe it down. It just kind of looks good. So it hid a lot of that dirt. Now I'll test the pledge to see how well it initially hides it, and then I'll let them both dry. So here's the pledge. So it's not exactly hiding it. It's got, the pledge has kind of a white film and it doesn't immediately look great, but I'll let it dry and then I'll compare both sides. All right, I've let the SC1 and the pledge dry on the wiring for about a half an hour. I'll see what it looks like now. So, I mean, neither side looks great. I feel like maybe the SC1 side's a little cleaner, but not crazy. The pledge still has a lot of like scumminess on it, which I don't really care for. The SC1's, I mean, it's greasy, but it's dry for the most part. The pledge just doesn't seem to dry on there real quick without wiping it down. All right, well, I'm gonna throw the hood back on and I'm gonna take this out, get it all muddy, and then I'm probably gonna go up to the car wash and wash it off and see if one side cleans off better than the other. So I'll do that now. I'm at the car wash. I'm gonna wash my side-by-side now. I'm gonna wash the SC1 side and then I'm gonna wash the pledge side, see if one side cleans off a little easier than the other. Hopefully you can see it. It's a little dark. All right, I just got back home from the car wash. I sprayed down my side-by-side, just got all the mud off. I like to clean it before I put it away. I'll probably do a deep clean on it tomorrow, but I just wanted to get all the mud off so it didn't sit there and dry. I tried to pay attention to how easily the Pledge side cleaned off versus the SC1 side, and I really didn't notice much difference. Both of them cleaned off fairly easily, and they're both kind of puddling up similarly. You can kind of notice where the tape used to be, so you can definitely notice where the cleaner is. As it's drying, I'm noticing that like the shock towers and the plastic areas look a lot better on the SC1 side versus the Pledge side, but it kind of makes sense because when I applied both of the cleaners, the SC1 side looked a lot better, so that doesn't have much to do with how easy it was to clean. It just looks better. But for the most part, it cleaned off just the same on each side. So overall, I'm going to keep buying and using SC1. It's just so much easier to use, so much faster, and just a better overall result in the end. Pledge works pretty good in a pinch, but I'm kind of worried about it because it's like a furniture cleaner, and the SC1's more designed for cleaning vehicles and like plastics, and I don't really know like with UV light what Pledge is going to do in the long run. I know a lot of people swear by using Pledge, but I'm not going to recommend it. But that's just my opinion. I've heard tons of people that say it works really awesome and they've been using it for a long time. If you like this video, or if you want to see more side-by-side and off-road content, please subscribe to the channel. Check out some of my other videos. We just hit 200 subscribers, which probably doesn't seem like a lot, but it means a lot to me, and I want to thank all 200 people that subscribed. It's really awesome, and it makes it worth doing, making these videos. So hope you enjoyed this video. Have a great day.